What if the person chosen to bring new life into this world was someone no one ever believed could? In a quiet village, far from the noise of the cities, a man began to carry a child. Not through rumor, not through imagination, but in his very body. His wife stood by him. His family trembled, and the world outside waited to judge what it could not understand. But the child inside him was no ordinary child. His heartbeat held a secret, a truth older than their bloodline. And when the day of his birth draws near, love, fear, faith, and destiny collide in a way no one is prepared for. Stay with me. Because once you hear the truth behind this birth, your heart will not return to the world as it was. The wind outside the small countryside home whispered through the bamboo leaves, carrying with it the scent of dusk and approaching rain. Inside, the house was silent, except for the soft and uneven breaths of Min, a man whose world had been slowly reshaped by something no one around him could explain. Min sat on the edge of his bed, both hands resting protectively over his abdomen. His eyes stared at the wall, but his mind was far away, lost in the storm of questions that had followed him for months. His ribs expanded with a deep breath, and in that moment, he felt it again. Movement. A small but undeniable shift from within. He closed his eyes. There was no denying it anymore. He was a man. But he was carrying a child. Son. It had started with a quiet pain in his lower stomach, something he assumed was stress. Then came the dizziness, the exhaustion, the swelling. Doctors had refused to believe him. Some had laughed. Others had stared at him with confusion, whispering to colleagues in hallways. But one doctor, older and silent, had placed the ultrasound screen in front of him. Min remembered how the room had felt suddenly weightless, as if gravity itself had paused. A small shape unmistakably forming. A heartbeat echoing through the cold room like a secret no one was ready to acknowledge. Min had returned home, holding that truth alone. But secrets that heavy do not remain quiet forever. His wife Lien had been the first to sense that something was wrong. The way Min held himself. The way his sleep became restless. The way his body language softened into caution, as if protecting something fragile. When he finally told her, he expected disbelief. He expected fear. He expected her to turn away. But instead she stared at him with wide, trembling eyes. Her voice fell to a whisper, thin and shaking. How could this happen to you? To us? Min did not have an answer. He had asked himself the same question every morning and every night. But the truth, whatever it was, lived somewhere far outside ordinary explanations. Soon word reached the rest of the family. Not through Min or Lien, but through changes that no one could hide. The shape of him. The glow and strain in his face. The cautious steps he took. His mother was the most shaken. She had raised Min to be strong, traditional, steady. Yet here he was, challenging everything she believed about nature, identity, and destiny. She stood in front of him one evening, her voice heavy with fear. "What are you carrying, my son? Is it truly a child, or something else entirely?" Min lifted his eyes to meet hers. He felt the weight of generations pressing down on him. The pressure of culture, expectation, belief. His lips trembled, but his voice remained steady. "It is a child, my child. A son." The room felt smaller then. The air seemed to thicken. His mother's hands shook as she slowly covered her mouth, as if holding back a cry or a prayer. Lien stepped closer to Min, her hand resting on his shoulder. She stood beside him, even as her own fear shone through her eyes. Her loyalty was not without tremor, but it was loyalty all the same. No one spoke after that. The truth had settled like a stone in the center of the room. Heavy, unmovable, life. Outside, thunder rolled across the evening sky. The wind grew colder. And deep within Min's body, the child shifted again. Sign of life. Presence waiting to be born. But the world outside their walls was already whispering. Neighbors had begun to glance with curiosity. Rumors were forming. Questions were brewing. And the most frightening truth of all had yet to reveal itself. For the child growing inside Min was not the result of anything ordinary. There was a reason his heartbeat felt so powerful. There was a reason his dreams were filled with unfamiliar voices calling his name. And the day of his birth was approaching, closer than anyone was prepared for. The house stood silent. The rain began to fall. And the truth, waiting in the shadows, was only beginning to unfold. The rain deepened into a steady rhythm, tapping against the roof tiles like a pulse echoing the one inside Min. Night had fallen, but there was no rest in the household. The lamps cast a warm amber glow across the wooden floor, yet the warmth did not reach anyone's heart. Lien sat beside Min, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Her fingertips had gone pale from the pressure. She watched her husband breathe, slow and controlled, as if every breath was something he had to consciously protect. The child moved again, a gentle roll beneath the skin, something alive, something real. Lien's eyes glistened with a mixture of awe and fear. She placed her palm on his abdomen, the way a mother might, even though the reality before her remained something beyond all understanding. Her voice was soft, a whisper that trembled with the weight of 1,000 unspoken questions. "Does it hurt?" Min shook his head. Not because there was no pain, but because the pain had stopped mattering. Pain had become part of him, woven into the miracle and the terror of what was happening. The house door creaked. Someone stepped inside. The smell of wet earth came with them. It was Min's older brother, Quan. He was tall, with shoulders carved by years of labor, and eyes hardened by the world's expectations of what a man should be. His returning steps were loud, deliberate, filled with disbelief he carried like armor. He looked at Min, at the swell of his belly, at the soft glow of lamplight touching skin stretched with new life. His jaw tightened. Min could see a storm gathering behind his brother's eyes. "You are making the family a spectacle," Quan said, his voice steady but his hands trembling. "You are breaking the order of everything we know." Min inhaled slowly, feeling his heart rise into his throat. He had expected this. He understood the weight of tradition. Yet the truth inside him was heavier. "It is not something I chose," Min whispered. "But I will not reject him. He is my son." Silence. A silence that stretched so wide it felt like the room itself had stopped breathing. Quan's gaze shifted downward, and for a moment, something cracked in his hardened shell. A memory, perhaps. The loss of their younger sister years ago. A child no one saved. The grief that had changed their mother. Now life was returning in the most impossible way. Lien watched them both, her chest rising and falling with unease. She sensed the unspoken truth that hovered just beneath this moment. This was no ordinary child. This was no ordinary birth. She had seen Min's dreams. The ones that woke him in the night, sweat soaking the sheets, eyes wide as if he had seen something ancient. He heard voices calling the unborn child by a name he had never learned. A name that did not belong to their land, their language, or their time. The doctors could not explain the heartbeat's unusual rhythm. It beat with strength far beyond what the fragile form on the ultrasound had suggested. A pulse like a drum calling from deep within the earth. Quan finally spoke again. His voice lower, heavy with something that felt like resignation. "You know the elders will not accept this." Min lifted his chin. His voice remained soft, but it carried something strong, something unyielding. "They do not have to accept it. He is already here. He already exists. And he is mine." Outside, lightning flickered across the sky, illuminating the yard and the distant mountains. The air felt charged, alive, as if the world around them knew something was approaching. Something that would alter not only their family, but everything beyond their village. Their mother appeared in the doorway. She had been listening. Her expression was neither anger nor fear now. It was understanding. And something deeper. Something ancient. She walked slowly to Min. Her hand rested gently over his. Her voice was quiet, but every syllable felt carved from a place of certainty. "You must be prepared." When he comes into this world, the truth about him will reveal itself. And nothing will remain the same. Min's heartbeat quickened, not from fear, but from a sudden and powerful knowing that settled in his bones. The rain continued to fall. The lamp flame flickered. The house, small and unassuming, held within it a miracle the world was not ready to understand. Night pressed deeper around them, and the child moved again. Stronger this time. Almost purposeful. Lien tightened her hold on Min's hand. Quan stepped closer, breath unsteady. Their mother closed her eyes, as if listening for something only she could hear. The room changed. The world seemed to wait. Something was coming. Closer. Inevitable. Yet no one spoke. No one dared. For the moment of revelation was near. So close. Close enough to touch. But not yet. The night deepened, heavy and dark, wrapping the house like a cloak. The rain softened, becoming a faint whisper on the roof, as if even the sky was waiting to see what would happen next. Inside, the air felt still. Lien could hear her own heartbeat loud in her chest. Min's breathing was slow, careful, protective. Every rise and fall of his chest was a reminder of the life he carried. Their mother stood near the window, her fingers lightly touching the wooden frame. She watched the shadows outside as though expecting someone or something to appear. Her silence held a strange weight. Not fear. Not denial. Something older. Something she had perhaps known long before any of them were born. Quan sat on a low stool, elbows resting on his knees, hands clasped tightly. He looked like a man ready to defend something precious, but unsure from what. His eyes kept flicking towards Min, as if trying to memorize every inch of him before the world changed again. Min shifted slightly, adjusting the pillow behind his back. A sharp movement ran through his abdomen, deeper than any he had felt before. Not pain but force, presence. As though the child inside him knew the world was paying attention. Min closed his eyes. He could feel it. The heartbeat. Not just within him but around him, through him, as if the child was connected to something larger than flesh and blood. Lien leaned closer, her voice gentle and steady, though her hands trembled. "You feel him again?" Min nodded. "Yes." The single word held both wonder and uncertainty. Their mother finally turned away from the window. Her eyes were calm now, as though she had reached a conclusion within herself. She stepped toward them and sat beside Min, her voice soft, almost reverent. "When you were born," she said, her gaze locked on Min's face, "the midwife told me something I have never spoken aloud." Her hands, aged and lined with years of work and grief, settled on her lap. "She said your birth did not follow nature's rhythm either. You were silent when you arrived. Your eyes were open, touching. Child who breathed without crying. A child who looked at the world as if he remembered it." Min stared at her, the room narrowing around her words. "You carried something inside you even then," his mother continued. "Something that did not belong to this village, this family, or even this time. I did not understand it then. I only knew you were different." Lien listened, her fingers slowly tracing the blanket over Min's legs. Her eyes reflected sorrow and love tightly wound together. Quan's jaw tightened again, but this time his voice was low and steady. "If this is true, then what is the child he carries?" Their mother's answer came without hesitation. A continuation, perhaps. Or a return. The words hung in the air like a slow-burning flame. Not an explanation, but the beginning of one. Min swallowed hard. He felt the child shift once more, and with it, a memory rose inside him. Not a memory from his life. Something older. A dream that had visited him night after night. Temple. A voice calling his name. A hand reaching out to him from a field of white light. He had thought it was imagination. Coping dream. A trick of an overwhelmed mind. But now he was not certain. Lien leaned her forehead against his shoulder, seeking strength. Quan stood slowly, as if preparing for something unseen. Their mother kept her eyes on Min, searching for truth inside him. The child moved again. But this time everyone felt it. Not through sound or sight, but through the air itself. Shift, stirring. As if the world had just taken a breath and held it. They froze. No one spoke. No one dared to move. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The sky fell silent. Even the crickets had gone quiet. A knock at the door. Low. Measured. No voice followed it. No name. Just that quiet knock. Lien's breath caught. Kwan's fists clenched. Their mother rose from her seat, her face unreadable. Min felt his heartbeat race, not from fear, but from recognition. As if he already knew who, or what, waited on the other side. The knock came again. And the room seemed to pull inward, waiting for someone to move. Someone to decide. Someone to open the door. The truth was here. Close enough to touch. But no one had yet reached for the latch. The second knock lingered in the air. Quiet yet unmistakable. It was not forceful nor urgent but deliberate. As though whoever stood outside knew exactly what waited within the house. As though they had been waiting for this moment far longer than anyone inside had understood. Lien's breath shook softly. Her eyes moved from the door to Min, searching his face for guidance, reassurance, something certain. But Min himself felt suspended in something he could not name. His heart beat steadily, yet the rhythm felt unfamiliar, as if it was no longer entirely his own. Kwan stepped forward first. His body tensed, grounded in instinct, ready to protect. But their mother raised her hand gently, stopping him with a gesture that carried a quiet authority. Her eyes remained fixed on the door, her voice low. No sudden movements. She crossed the room slowly, each step measured, as if approaching something sacred. With her hand resting on the old wooden latch, she paused, not out of hesitation but reverence. Then she opened the door. The wind outside had gone completely still. Not a branch moved. Not a leaf stirred. On the threshold stood a woman. Not young, not old. Her age was a mystery blurred by the pale moonlight resting on her skin. Her clothing was simple, but her presence felt heavy, as if she carried the weight of many lives within her eyes. She lowered her head respectfully before stepping inside. No one spoke. No one asked who she was. The silence between her steps felt ancient. Lien felt something shift in the air, like the soft vibration of a bell just after it has been struck. Kwan's posture wavered for a breath, but he steadied himself again. His gaze sharp, watchful. The woman stopped in front of Min. She did not touch him. She only looked, deeply, as if she saw not his face, not his body, but something behind them. Something older. Something waiting. "Your time is near," she said, her voice serene, steady. Her words did not feel like a warning. They felt like a certainty. Min swallowed slowly, his hand pressing against the curve of his abdomen, where the child shifted in response. As if he understood the voice. As if he recognized it. Lien's fingers gripped his arm. She could not interpret the woman's tone, whether it meant hope or danger. But she felt something rise in her chest, an ache that was not fear but anticipation. Their mother finally approached the woman, her voice low and respectful. "You have come." The stranger nodded once. "I have been waiting for the sign." Kwan's voice finally broke through the silence. "What sign?" The woman's gaze moved to him, not with challenge, not with disapproval, but with the calmness of someone who had seen storms far greater than human conflict. "The heartbeat," she replied. "The rhythm that does not belong to this world alone. The boy carries a call. And that call has reached those who remember him." Min felt a chill run through him, not of fear but understanding. Something deep in him recognized the meaning, though the words were still forming. Lien's voice was quiet, fragile. "What does that mean for him? For our son?" The woman did not answer immediately. Her eyes lowered, as if considering how much truth to reveal. Then she spoke with gentle precision. "He has not come to break the world. He has come to return something to it." Return. Not change. Not destroy. Return. Min's breath trembled. The child moved again. This time, there was unmistakable purpose in the motion, as if responding to the very meaning of the words. The stranger's eyes finally lifted to Min, and her expression softened. You have carried him with courage. But the moment of his arrival will not be like others. You must be prepared. The night he is born, something will awaken. The world beyond this house will feel it. Lien's grip on Min tightened. Her heart raced. She did not understand it all, but she understood one truth clearly. They were not just awaiting a child. They were awaiting a change. The lamp flame flickered. A low rumble of thunder rolled across the distant horizon, though the sky above them remained clear. Something unseen was stirring. Something drawing closer. The woman stepped back, her presence still as calm as water. When the moment comes, you must not resist it. Any fear will only make the path harder. The child knows the way. Min felt his entire body react, not with alarm but with recognition. As if there was a memory within him he had not yet unlocked. The room felt very small suddenly. The world outside felt impossibly large. The child shifted again. And this time every person in the room felt it, not as movement but as presence. Lien's lips parted but no words came. Quan's breath stilled. Their mother closed her eyes, as if listening once more to something distant. The woman turned slowly, heading toward the door again, as though her part in this night was finished. But before she stepped outside she paused. She spoke one final sentence. A quiet truth that settled over them like a veil. When he is born, the first sound will not be crying. Listen carefully, for that sound will tell you who he truly is. The door closed softly behind her. The house fell into silence once more. But now the silence was different. It was full. Waiting. The night stretched onward. And the world held its breath. The door closed behind the mysterious woman, but her presence remained in the room like the echo of a distant song. No one moved. The silence inside the house was no longer ordinary. Carried weight. It felt like the moment before a storm touches land. Min sat upright, his fingers resting lightly over the curve of his abdomen. The warmth inside him continued, steady, alive. But now there was something else layered beneath that warmth. An awareness. Not his awareness. Child's. He could feel, without understanding how, that the child was listening. Listening to the world. Listening to the silence. Listening to the breath and heartbeat of every person in the room. Lien's eyes did not leave Min's face. She studied him the way someone studies the tide, waiting for signs of change. Her fear had not vanished, but it had transformed into something deeper. Fierce, silent devotion. She slid closer to him, resting her head against his shoulder. The way her breath rose and fell beside him grounded him in something human. Something familiar, something safe. Quan stood near the hearth, his hands still tense, though his expression had changed. He was no longer questioning what was possible. He was preparing himself for whatever might come next. His silence, once born from disbelief, now came from acceptance. Their mother, seated again, kept her hands folded in her lap as though holding a prayer within them. Her eyes remained steady, not cold, not afraid, simply ready. The lamp flickered. The shadows shifted across the walls, long and soft. Outside, the night was thick and unmoving. Even the insects remained quiet, as if the world had agreed to pause. Min inhaled slowly. A low ache rippled through him, tightening across his abdomen. His breath caught. Lien straightened immediately, her hand moving to support him. "It is just pressure," Min said quietly, though the words came thin and strained. But everyone in the room heard the truth beneath the surface. Something was beginning. Not immediately, but soon. The air felt warmer now, heavier, as though the room itself had drawn closer around them. Min closed his eyes. He could see the temple again. The same dream that had returned to him night after night. Stone pillars carved with symbols he did not recognize. A wide staircase leading upward into blinding white light. A voice calling his name, not with urgency but with sorrow, as though it had been waiting for him for a very long time. He opened his eyes and the room returned to him. Lien was watching him, her fingertips gently brushing his forearm. Kwan's gaze had sharpened, as if he sensed something shifting even without words. Their mother spoke softly, breaking the silence without disturbing its weight. "What did you see?" Min hesitated, not because he doubted but because he knew the truth of it would change them again. Finally he spoke. The same place, the same voice, but today it was clearer. As if the child wanted me to remember it. Lien's hand tightened around his. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Then he remembers something too." Kwan exhaled slowly, a sound that carried no frustration now, only realization. So this child, he is not beginning his life here. He is returning to it. Their mother did not react with surprise. She simply nodded once, as though this truth had always lived somewhere inside her. "These things do not come without purpose," she said. "And when purpose calls, the world must shift to make room for it." The words settled over them like a quiet prophecy. Min felt another wave move through him, deeper this time. Lien braced him, her body instinctively preparing to support. He breathed through it, slow and steady. Not fear, not pain, but a signal. Beginning. The house felt smaller now. The night outside seemed to press against the walls, as if something waited there, watching, waiting for its moment to step forward. Kwan moved to check the window, looking out into the darkness. There was nothing there. No shape, no movement. Yet his breath quickened. He could feel it too. The sense of presence. Their mother rose and moved quietly to gather blankets, water, anything that might be needed. Her movements were slow, sure, practiced, as though she had always known this day would arrive. Lien remained at Min's side, her forehead resting against his temple. She whispered softly, not asking anything, just anchoring him with her presence. Min closed his eyes again, feeling the child respond. Not struggling, not restless, just waiting, as if the world needed to settle into place before he would arrive. Time passed. Minutes, hours. The night did not move. The silence did not break. The moment did not come. Yet the tension held them all suspended, like a drawn breath that refuses to release. Every heartbeat in that house was listening, and something in the air whispered that the moment they had been waiting for was near. Just not yet. The night gave way slowly to a pale morning. Soft gray light seeped through the thin curtains, touching the wooden floor and the quiet faces gathered inside. The air had changed. The heaviness of waiting had lifted, replaced by something calm and deeply still. Min sat propped against the pillows, Lien resting close beside him. Her hand remained intertwined with his, steady and warm. The child no longer stirred with the same urgency. His movements were gentle now, unhurried, as though he too understood the world no longer needed to race. Kwan had moved closer to the doorway, keeping watch, not from fear anymore, but from instinct and devotion. The mother sat near the foot of the bed, her posture straight, her eyes soft, as if she were guarding something sacred with silence alone. No one spoke at first. There was nothing left to question. No confusion, no resistance, no disbelief. Only acceptance. Min lifted his gaze to the window. The light was shifting from gray to gold. The first birds began to sing outside, cautious at first, then full. A new day had begun. Lien turned to look at him. There was peace in her eyes, though they held traces of the long nights before. She rested her forehead against his shoulder and breathed slowly. He felt her love in that simple movement. Steady, true, unwavering. Min spoke softly, his voice clear and gentle. He will arrive soon. But not with fear. Not with chaos. Only with purpose. Their mother nodded, her voice calm. When the moment is right, we will all know. The world does not rush what is meant. Kwan exhaled, and for the first time, his shoulders relaxed. He leaned back against the wooden frame of the doorway, and his voice carried quiet strength. "We are here. Together. Whatever comes, we will face it as one." The child moved again, light, slow, as though giving acknowledgement. Min placed his hand over the gentle rise of his abdomen, and a soft smile touched his lips. Not one of joy alone, nor sorrow alone. Smile of understanding. This journey had changed them. Not by breaking them, but by widening the space in which their hearts could hold wonder. What they had feared had become what they now protected. What once felt impossible had become simply their truth. The morning light grew warmer. The small house no longer felt heavy, felt sacred, alive. "Ready," Lien whispered, her voice barely more than breath. "When he comes, we will welcome him." Min closed his eyes. His breathing softened. His body relaxed into the certainty that the next chapter would unfold exactly when it was meant to. No rush, no fear, no urgency. Just a quiet understanding that life had shifted into something new. Something larger than explanation. Something deeper than tradition. Something that would continue beyond this room, this moment, this day. The birds outside continued to sing. The sunlight warmed the floorboards. And the family remained close, unmoving, unbreaking together. And so the chapter closed not with a cry, not with revelation or chaos, but with calm breath, steady hearts, and the child waiting in perfect stillness for the right moment to enter the world.